Hi friends and welcome to another video of Just Being Honest. In today's video, we'll be talking about how you can do bond laddering strategy with Singapore savings bonds. So before we talk about the strategy, let us look at the recent Singapore savings bond that was released just about a few days ago. So on this 3rd October, the Singapore savings bond was released for the November period. So this month's bonds average return over 10 years is at 3.21%. I think this is the highest so far I've seen for this year. And then the deadline to apply is by 26 October 2022. So let's take a look at the bond details itself. So the issue date will be on 1st November 2022. The payment dates will be every 6 months on either 1st November or 1st May. And then maturity date is 1st November 2032. So for the first year, the interest rate is at 3.08%, and then at the year 10 is 3.3%. So the average return over the 10 years period is at 3.21%. So for me, I will definitely be taking part in this Singapore savings bonds, and then I'll be actually putting in slightly more amount because for the fact that if let's say even if you get more than what you wanted, you can actually redeem it, and there's no redemption penalty except paying for the $2 fees. So this is good. So let's say if you only wanted 15,000 of Singapore savings bonds, I mean you can put 20,000. Then in the event if let's say if you really do get 20,000 of the Singapore savings bonds, then you can still redeem $5,000 of it. So at least you have the options of having more rather than less. Because let's say in the following month, let's say for December period, then let's say if the interest rate goes down and you also wanted to invest money into it, then you have the option of keeping your this November Singapore savings bonds, or you can choose to redeem it, some of it, and then you put it into the December period. If let's say if the interest rate for December one is much higher, so that's the good thing about Singapore savings bond because of no redemption penalty that will affect your principal amount. So let's take a look at what is bond laddering or bond ladder. So based on what you can see from Investopedia, it says that a bond ladder is a portfolio of fixed income securities with different maturity dates, or it's a strategy that involves buying bonds with different maturity dates so that the investors can respond relatively quick to certain issues. Then let's say take a look at some images. So we'll take a look at this one. So this one shows you how you can build a bond ladder by investing in different bonds that have different maturity period. So what we can actually do here is doing something similar with our Singapore savings bonds. So I've actually done this drawing of this bond ladder strategy, whereby you can get payout from your bonds for every period of the month in the year by having bonds that pay out in each month. So let's say in January you have a bond that pay out to you. In February you also have another bond that pay out to you. In March you have another bond pay out to you. So this goes on consecutively throughout the entire year. So in order to do the bond laddering strategy is that you invest in multiple bonds with different maturity or payout dates, and then the bonds must have regular payout over long period, and the payout from bonds is done in such a way that if you accumulate all these bonds, the payout is done every month of the year. So you take for example Singapore savings bond. So if you use the last 6 months for example, so you can see from the one given out in May all the way to October, the payout for Singapore savings bond is done semi-annually, so it's given out twice in a year. So technically, you only need to have 6 Singapore savings bonds to have payout from bonds every month of the year. Because one bond gives you twice in a year, so 6 bonds will give you 12 times in a year. So every first of the month, you get a payout from the Singapore savings bonds if you purchase these 6 Singapore savings bonds. So for example, let's say you have a scenario of 60K for investments, then you split your 60K into 6 tranches, so 10K each, and this 10K will be put into each Singapore savings bonds consecutively. So you have $10,000 invested in each Singapore savings bonds. You invest in 6 Singapore savings bonds, then total invested amount is 60,000, and then your payout from each Singapore savings bonds will be able to cover you every month of the year. So let's say you put into this July, August, September, October, May, and June. So every month you have payout from each bonds because each Singapore saving bonds is a semi-annual payment. So if you put in total of 60,000, your average monthly payout will be $132, and then the average return in a year is 2.65%. So these are all average amount. So let's say you have 300,000. So you divide it by 6 Singapore saving bonds, and each Singapore saving bonds you will invest 50,000. Then January you get one payout, February you get a payout, March all the way to December. So total amount invested will be 300,000. Average monthly payout is $660, and then your average rate will be 2.65%. So these are strategies that you can consider if you have emergency funds that you want to put aside. You have no need for it. Then you can put into this Singapore savings bonds using this bond laddering strategy. So at least your emergency fund is growing rather than staying stagnant. Alternatively, this bond laddering strategy can also be used for someone who is retiring. You don't want to put your money into equities and you want to put somewhere that's safe, and you also want to have payout every month. Then you can consider this bond laddering strategy for yourself as well. So just a short announcement. So I have this healthy 365 QR code. So if you are into this 365 QR code collection, then you can scan the QR code. So fastest fingers first. So today's quote of the day is taken from here. The soul that is within me, no man can degrade. So that's all for today's video. Hope you learned something new regarding bond ladder strategy. And do always remember to make smarter financial decisions every day. Have a great day ahead, and bye bye.